We'll now look at the heatsink and fan provided with our Pentium 4 processor. Here it is. Here you can see the 4-pin connector provided with the heatsink and fan, and that powers the fan from the motherboard. Here's the fan at the top of the heatsink, and if we just turn it around a little, we can see how the heatsink is constructed from a large number of metal fins. This gives it a very large surface area which assists in cooling. Look at the back of the heatsink and fan now. We can see that the factory has already spread some thermal compound at the bottom of the heatsink, and this will provide a good thermal connection between the heatsink and the top of the CPU. You can see it hasn't been actually put on very well. It's a little bit patchy. That should be spread evenly all over that bottom surface. So before we attach the heatsink to the processor, we'll re-spread that so it's a lot more even and covers the whole bottom surface. The connection to the motherboard is made via these 4 pins. You can see them in the corners. These pins push through a hole in the motherboard, and when you depress this black knob here, that pushes through and forces apart the bottom of this pin, which secures it into the motherboard. All of the fans for cooling our system are now in place. We have the fan built in to the power supply unit here, which will draw air in. We also have a fan mounted at the back of the system case, which will also draw air in, and that air will then be expelled through grills at the back of the system case. We have our heatsink and fan assembly now fixed to the top of our CPU using the 4 pegs that are in each corner. The CPU fan will also draw air in, which will be blown over the heatsink. We're now looking at the side panel of our system case. When this is in place, when it's fitted, these grills here will allow air to flow over any interface cards we have mounted in the motherboard. And this funnel-shaped object here directs an airflow directly over the CPU heatsink and fan. This funnel here is actually adjustable. We can extend it or retract it like so. And you should adjust that funnel so that it's between 20 and 12 millimeters above the CPU heatsink and fan.